I'm gonna take a look at two id games released on the Super Nintendo, Wolfenstein 3D and Doom. Let's get into Wolfenstein first. So this game is notoriously known for being a butchered port of the PC version. To make a long story short, Nintendo felt that Wolfenstein could affect the image of the Super Nintendo, so Nintendo forced the developers to remove all the Nazi references, remove the blood, and even take out the dogs and replace them with giant mutant rats. So basically, Nintendo just had them remove the balls from the game. And the funny thing about them taking out the dogs, I mean, you're still killing people and giant fucking rats, but it's not okay to kill dogs? Anyway, let me get into the game. So if you want my opinion, even with all the things they left out, this is still a very solid port of Wolfenstein. Even though the Super Nintendo can do 3D graphics, it's really not its forte. And a major problem visually is it's very pixelated. The game is running at a lower resolution, and the textures and sprites are also more pixelated. I thought this game might be using the Super FX chip, but after doing a little research, I found no information saying this game uses a Super FX chip. Now, if you guys aren't aware, the Super FX chip basically works as a video accelerator, so perhaps if they would have used one, we would have had superior visuals. I noticed some of the levels were changed a little bit, but I believe that was the case for all of the ports of Wolfenstein. Now, I've also played the Atari Jaguar version of Wolfenstein, and that is a pretty impressive port. In fact, it's even superior than the PC version. When it comes to the audio quality in this game, it's at par with the PC version, but it was never that great to begin with. The control also works well in this game, and it's very responsive for the most part. I mention this because I found the control in Doom for the Super Nintendo to be extremely annoying. So for Super Nintendo standards, this really isn't a bad port. The blocky visuals are pretty annoying, but it's not so bad where the game is unplayable. So for what it is, I give this game a C. But ultimately, it's pretty pointless to play Wolfenstein on the Super Nintendo when you can play a superior version of this game on a 486 PC. Moving on, I'm going to take a look at Doom for the Super Nintendo. So before doing this review, I was thinking to myself, why did we even play Doom for the Super Nintendo? I guess the short answer to that is, we had shitty PCs. Now, I was looking forward to Doom for the Super Nintendo, because for some reason I thought it would be identical to the PC. You'd think we would have learned our lesson with the 32X port. So if you can't already tell from the video, the visuals have been taken down quite a notch. It has a much lower resolution, the textures are far more pixelated, and there are absolutely no textures on the roof and floor. In fact, it looks quite a bit like Wolfenstein now. But of course, there's still a lot more level detail than we saw in Wolfenstein. This game actually uses the Super FX2 chip. And as I mentioned earlier, the Super FX chip works as a video accelerator, much like a 3D card in a PC. With that said, this isn't really the Super Nintendo alone pumping out these graphics. So when it comes to the visuals, this is the worst looking port of Doom ever released. But fans of the game still consider this to be a great port of Doom. Now, I personally think Doom for the Super Nintendo is abysmal, and not just because of the graphics. Let me just go ahead and list off some of the problems I have with the game. This game has no save mode and no password system. So forget about continuing where you left off, you have to start all over. Another major problem is you can't use the easy difficulty in other episodes, so that means you have to play the hard difficulties just to get to the other episodes. Of all the Doom ports I've played, this is also the only one that doesn't have cheats. Now, it's best to beat the game without cheats, but still, having the cheats gives you a lot more replay value. And another major problem, probably one of the biggest problems for me, is the control feels really fucked up. For some reason, when you're running up against the wall, your character can get stuck, so you sort of have to pull away from the wall, and this happens quite often. I don't know what that's about, but that's only a problem in this version. Another annoying thing with the control is L and R are your strap buttons. Now, I don't have a problem with that, but the problem is, when you're holding strap, you can't turn left and right. I personally use strap a lot when I'm fighting enemies like right here. And sometimes you may need to turn a little bit while you're strapping, so you're gonna have to release the strap, turn, and then start strapping again. Wolfenstein didn't have that problem, this game shouldn't either. So those are some of the problems that really cripple this game for me. And a lot of people compare this to the 32X port because it has more levels. But this game actually has less levels than I thought. You get all 3 episodes, but levels were taken out from each episode. This game has 22 levels as opposed to 27 on the PC. So that's only 5 more levels than we have on the 32X. Personally, I don't think 5 extra levels makes up for all the problems this has compared to the 32X version. And thanks to the angry Nintendo nerd, everyone points out that the Super Nintendo version has better audio. It may be better on the Super Nintendo, but they both suck in that department. So I give Doom for the Super Nintendo a D. This is simply the worst port of Doom you can pick up.